everyone, welcome to 3 Good Minutes with Ryan and Jen. I'm Jen Frisk, and this is Ryan Harding. We are office created at Newmark Knight Frank. Please join us over the coming months for a few discussions around what's happening in the market, in co-working, the new office culture, and everything in between. This week, we are going to start by talking about the general market and what we've been seeing over the last 3 months.
Everybody right now wants to know about 2 things, subleasing and rates and availabilities. A lot of what we're seeing right now actually is quite different from what we would have expected a couple of months ago. What we're seeing is a subleasing market that is rich. In Los Angeles alone, we've seen north of 10,000 square foot subleases spike in the last 30 days from 650,000 feet to nearly 1 million square feet. By comparison, over the last several years, on average, in that same time frame, we've actually had about 600,000 square feet available. So we've seen literally almost a doubling and now a 150% increase in sublease space, which has been really fascinating and really interesting in terms of what that will do to impact the market going forward.
But there's a bright spot. Over the last 2 weeks in particular, we've seen a spike in tour volume for the first time in the last 3 months, probably the tune of 400%. So it feels good to see that people are active and in the market again. So hopefully, even though there's going to be, as Ryan said, a significant amount of new supply of sublease space, hopefully this new tour volume will track that and will help to fill some of the subleases that have become added to the market recently.
One of the other things we're talking a lot about right now is concessions. Landlord concessions are a hot topic because they've been almost non-existent for the past 6 or 7 years. What we're seeing is actually quite a change now from not only from the last 6 or 7 years, but really what we expected to see back in mid-March. Mm-hmm. We thought we would see rates drop dramatically. They haven't. But what we have seen is a huge increase in free rents, tenant improvement allowances, build-to-suits for landlords. We've been seeing a lot of termination rights to provide for the flexibility that tenants want. But a lot of that is quite different from the rates we're seeing, because I think we're still seeing the same posted rates that we saw back in March.
But I think one of the things that we've noticed, and that's been really hard to advise all of you, all of our clients on, is just a lack of data. So when we talk about rates haven't really changed, well, transactions that have actually been completed are down 90% because of everything that's happened. So I do think we will start to see movement in rates as well as concessions, but hopefully again that ties to people starting to see deal volume actually pick back up as we move into the summer, which usually is slow, but I think that this year hopefully we will see a little bit of a spike in summer activity.
People always ask me why landlords are the last people to come to terms with where the market's at. Maybe you could tell them why.
Landlords always want to hope that things are going to be okay, and landlords create a budget at the end of September of every year, and they're held to that budget by capital partners, by lenders, by distributions that they have to pay to shareholders. So when they have to write down a budget, that's a huge thing for them to have to do, whether it's related to COVID or not. They want to keep those rates and those budget assumptions as long as they can, or they have a lot of people to answer to. So it's not for nothing.
You have to remember, though, that a lot of these buildings that have traded over the last few years have traded with cap rates and projections and pro formas that were different than where the market is now. So they have to hold to that, or as long as they can, for their capital partners, lenders, and everyone else that's involved in a transaction. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where does the market go from here is really the biggest question we have. And
probably one of the biggest questions you have.
One of the biggest trends we will start to see, which we're going to talk about next week, is co-working and where that is going forward. It has been such an enormous part of the market across the country. And so we will be talking about that a week from now.
It's going to still be a part of the market, so more to come on that.
But probably quite different from what we've seen over the last 6 or 7 years.
Very different. And we are going to end all of these 3 Good Minutes with Ryan and Jen with one good thing during this time.
If you haven't seen Riverdale, you absolutely have to binge watch this. I am not a binge watcher, or wasn't until about March 13th of this year. And Riverdale is basically Scream meets Dawson's Creek meets Gilmore Girls. It's unbelievable. Tune in.
Favorite character?
My favorite character is probably Archie.
Wow. Just like Ryan, clean cut, run in pursuit of body council. Sorry, I hopefully they didn't spoil anything. But tune in next week for 3 more good minutes with Ryan and Jen.